Hello gentlemen, this is Mr. Hill and this is Pygame tutorial 4. So, we'll just recap where we kind of picked off from last time. So I'm just going to run this and you'll see that uh, we talked about, we started developing a naming convention um, for our objects. So right now this is going to be like a text object and all the stuff that's associated with this stuff, right? So I have for every object that I create, um, I have a size, I have an X position, and I have a Y position, and I also have directions for X and Y. Okay. Now, what the theme of these first few tutorials is around movement and controls. So one of the ways to that you already know how to do is to move things by updating their position in the while loop, right? You're adding values in this. It's right here. We're adding values to our x and y positions to change the position to make them look like they're moving. Okay, we're updating the clock, and it's kind of like a little bit of a stop motion animation. It's updating so quickly that it actually makes the image look like it's moving. Each time we're filling the background black, so it'll take away. So for example, if I take this out, I'm going to take out this fill right here, and you'll see that you'll probably start to see a stream. Okay, and by having this overlay here, okay, I'm going to stop that and put by filling the screen the background black every time, you're eliminating that trail. Okay, so that's a nice little thing to know. So you know how to move things automatically, right? By updating their x and y position in the while loop. Let's look at using the mouse. Okay, that's something else that you see in games. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to start by showing you why we've taken the time to organize things like this. So I'm going to create another object, okay, another text object, and I'm going to actually highlight this whole thing, Control C, and I'm going to go Control V, and I'm just going to call this we'll call this message. Okay, how about mouse text? Okay, and I'm gonna have mouse text size and mouse text and hold on, we want to go lowercase. I'm just gonna make it easy to repeat. So mouse text and mouse text and mouse text and mouse text. Okay, and so what we're going to do is we're going to look at controlling the mouse, at controlling this piece of text using the mouse. Okay, in a game you might see this as using a character or maybe a gun or a target or something, but we're just going to call this mouse. I'm going to put it in capital letters. I'm going to keep the background. Let's keep the background as white. Okay, actually I'm going to put the background as black. Okay, I'm going to make it blend in a little bit. And let's make the text white. Okay, so I'm just going to go 255, comma 255, comma 255. Okay, so now I have a mouse text, and it's going to be at position 0, 0. So let's start it at the opposite end of the screen. So I'm going to go 800 and 600, just so that they start at different positions when I start the game. Okay, and let's see what that looks like. Okay, let's run this. So where is our, let me see, make this a little bigger. Okay. Oh, what did we forget to do? Okay, we created the object, right? But what we need to do, right? What we need to do is split it. Okay. So this is where we start to add things. Okay, so I'm going to create a little section here, Control C and Control V, and just update this little statement. So this is going to show it. Okay, so it's going to be mouse text, and then we're going to have here as, let's say, X mouse text, and Y mouse text. Okay, and right now that's enough to just to split. So let's have a look at this. I'm going to shrink my window back. Okay, and run it. Okay, and is it too big? Okay. Let's play with that X and Y position a little bit. Okay, so where are we here? Let's make it a little bit shorter. So let's say 400 and 300. Okay, see if that makes a difference. Okay, there's our mouse. Okay, so for some reason it's not showing up on the screen. Maybe that could have to do with the resolution or just the size of the screen, but our mouse is definitely on the screen now. Okay, 800 and 600 was fine. Okay, well, I'll play around with that a little later, but the point of this is that we've created a separate object. Okay, and the spelling mouse looks funny. I don't know. But anyways, we've created a separate object, and using this naming convention, okay, and everything has its own X and Y direction, has its own X and Y positions. Okay, now let's start to look at how we can control this using the mouse. Okay, so we created our our mouse object, our mouse variable, right? Our rendering of the text. And what we want to do right now is in this loop here, right? What we want to do is set the X and Y position. So we'll have X mouse text, comma Y underscore mouse text. Okay, so we're going to take the X and Y for the mouse, and we're going to set that equal to mouse position. Okay, mouse position. Okay, and so that should be enough. Is there anything else we need to do? I think mouse. Yeah, that looks okay. And what that's going to do is it's going to constantly update the X and Y mouse positions to match the mouse position on the screen. Okay, so let's stop this, and we'll start it. Okay, and run it. Ooh. Got an error here. We forgot to add that mouse position. Okay, we got to use this function in Pygame. The mouse position is equal to Pygame dot mouse dot get underscore position. Okay, and then so we're grabbing the mouse position, and then we're setting it the mouse position equal to the X and Y position for the mouse. Okay, the word mouse. Okay, so let's run this puppy. Okay, we got an error here. Hold on. position, Pygame. Ooh, Pygame. Okay, it doesn't like that capital. Okay, so let's run this puppy. Okay, we got our mouse, and our mouse is now moving up and down. So it's only moving in the X position. Is mouse text, and mouse position should be 2. Mouse text -1, y mouse text. Okay. Okay, so that's moving up and down to match the mouse, but it's not moving left to right. So I'm just going to play around a little bit with that. So this is, it's going to start to get a little more complex, and that's why it's really important to be able to know what and where these positions are. So mouse position, x and y is equal to mouse position. Blit. Okay, so we're blitting after. It's important. We're getting the x and y first, and then we're developing this. Oh, so it's moving with the y. So y mouse text, here's an error right here. It should be x. Okay. So it's where it was where it was blitting. And so such an important skill to develop is when you're debugging your work, naming these things appropriately allows you to kind of go through your own work and to be able to debug it a little more cleanly, a little clearer, a more systematic approach. Okay, so the problem wasn't with the grabbing of the mouse position. The problem was with how we were displaying it, and that's in our blitz statement. So I'm going to stop this, okay, and we're going to start it. And now we're following the mouse position around, okay, and one of the things that we can do, and I'll show that to you later, is that we can actually, there's a couple things you can do, and kind of knowing where those things are, like it's useful just the same way that we would debug code. Sometimes we can use print statements to kind of help get a visual of what's happening. So I'm going to stop this, and let's kind of bring this up here so we can see our console again. And now that I have a print statement, we can actually use print statements in this with our GUIs, and it allows us to. So right here we have our mouse position is actually getting printed out, and we can see that that's changing all the way down. Okay, so we know that it's working. So that's a great debugging tool, by printing things to the screen that allows us to kind of see how things are changing. Okay. Anyways, so that's the second way of controlling an object on the screen using the mouse. We've looked at automating things with the hello world text. Now we're using the mouse. Okay, so we're well on our way to creating simple but some complex type games that have these types of functionality. I hope that helps, and have a great afternoon.